Well, hi, Jeff Shore, author of Be Bold and Win the Sale. You know, one of the things that I'm always interested in here, I'm a sales wonk. I want to understand the sales process, but I also know that if I really want to truly understand the sales process, there's only one way that I can do that, and that's by understanding first and foremost the buyer process. My degree is in management. If I wanted to go back and do it again, I'd get my degree in psychology, because I think the most important thing we can do is understand what's going on in the head and hearts of the customers that we are dealing with. And so often, salespeople run into a problem. It's a sort of a default problem. We do this naturally as a part of our lives, but it affects us in sales environments. And that is that we confuse behavior with character. So we see the behavior of an individual, of a customer, and then we start making character assessments based on that behavior. So what does that mean? If a customer is grumpy or curt or mean in some way, then I start looking at it and saying, well, that's a mean person. No. This might have been a mean behavior, but it doesn't necessarily make them a mean person. And I want to be able to separate that out. One of the most valuable things that we can do is understand the underpinnings of buyer behavior. If I can seek to understand what's going on behind the behavior, it makes all the difference in the world. So I want to give you a tip here right from the very beginning. And it is this concept. I'm going to take it from child rearing for just a moment. For me, I raised 3 kids, and I can't tell you how many times I said or thought these words. What were you thinking? Now, that's a very common thing for parents to do. What were you thinking? Can I suggest to you that that's a really good question? It just depends on how you ask it. You see, behind every behavior of a child, there's always a sense of rationality from their perspective. The decisions that they made sense to them. Now, I'm looking at it saying, what were you thinking? Simply because it didn't make sense to me. But if I go with the idea that there is really no such thing as irrational behavior, everyone's behavior is rational from their perspective, now I can go back and I can say in a totally different way, all right, let's unpack this. Tell me what you were thinking. How did that behavior seem to make sense to you? See, if I can understand the rationale behind the behavior, then the behavior itself is not necessarily a judgment on their character. It's just the situational aspect of what's going through. Now let's carry that forward into discussions with our buyer. Because my tendency, even with some customers, is to go, what are you thinking? Why are you acting this way? Well, those are good questions. And I want to encourage you to ask them with an inquisitive heart, not with a judgmental heart. That'll be the first step in this process, is to try and figure out, what are they thinking? What is that behavior based on? How can I seek first to understand what's going on inside their brain? I just want to leave you with this, though. The behavior is not a reflection of their character. It's an echo of their mindset. It might be something that they're dealing with that's deeply painful to them at any given point. And maybe even they're taking it out on you just a little bit. But it will not help us to make moral judgments just because a customer is being difficult. First and foremost, if you want to understand a buyer, understand that question. What are you thinking? That will put you on track to begin to change their world.